Hello friend, how are you? Welcome to Tripan Study Center. Today we are going to do the chapter of social science and highlighting each and every point of it. Let's see what is our topic today. The rise of imperialism and colonialism. There is an important topic here. The rise of imperialism and colonialism here. In the last section, you read about the industrial evolution and how it is spread to be a countries of the best. By the turn of the 19th century, most of the European countries were industrialized, and this country need to the constant supply of raw materials and the ready market for selling the finished good. So they began to extend it control over area which were not industrialized. The capitalists too need new players and the new industry to invest their surplus and capital. Since this is a need could not be fulfilled in their own countries or in the neighboring area. This practice of extending control are ruled over to the political and economic life of the another country is known as the imperialism. You know that what is imperialism? Imperialism here, the practice of extending control or rule over political and economical life of another country is now as their imperialism, and this may be done through the military or other means. Colonialism means to be acquire colonies and making them dependent by conquest of other means. It was the need for raw materials, market, and a place for the investment of capital, which is promoted through the empirical nation to the is a conquer lands outside their country. The main feature of imperialism was economical domination of colony by on the imperial nation through the military conquest, a political rule, or by any other method. The wealth and resource where is the there and out there formal colonies in the imperial countries. The interest of the colonies was subjected to be interested of the imperial country, and the country which is acquires another land is known as the imperial country, while their conquered land is known as the colony. By the end of the 19th century, almost all countries of Asia and Africa were under the control of one or other European nation. That is important. 19th century, this period of time, the Asia and Africa were under control of other European nation. Why do you think this industrialized country choose Asia Africa to extend there is a dominance? And this was become this country were rich in the resources, but were politically and militarily weak and industrial backward. Unfortunately, there is where too far and distant. Without good means of communication, no countries would be able to make a profit from them. The growth of imperialism coincided with the growth of transport and communication. The good road, steamship, railways, and canals were began to be built by the industrialized nation in their own country and in their colonies. Is it is a transportation of goods to be and from the colonies made there easier for this country, and troops is could be also be easy sent to be colonies. With the development of telegraph and telephone, messages could be sent very easy. Almost every country now come within their easy is a reach of the imperial countries here. Exterminate nationalism become a major force is extension of imperialism. For a pride, prestige and glory, some a country like Italy and Germany conquered the land belonging to the other. By this time, the Europeans who had a development a feeling of a racial impreciate and considered to people of Asia and Africa as a backward. According to according to them, it is there was the white man and Buddhans to be civilized. They are backward people. So it was their duty to conquer there is a country spirit to the Christianity and willing to the England men to be them. The feeling provide moral justification for the concrete of this land here. There is a important. And this was not difficult. Our adventures and exposure played a significant role in inciting and desire among the European for conquering lands. And they bow is a bag labels information about the land, and they discover and describe the wealth and resources, and they say in this remote lands. Do you now remember reading the name of the many explorers such as Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama and Ferdinand Magellan? There is the most important travel on this period time here. The next point here, imperialism in Africa. Imperialism in Africa. Do you know that once upon a time Africa was as the dark continent? Every little information was available about this continent. The missionaries and explorers that were the first to be ventures into the interiors, and there is a discover on imminence is a treasures of enormous gold, diamond, timbers, and people who could be made slaves. Africa also had a big political system, a backward economical and society, as well as a big armies. A competition started to among the European nations to be gain power and prestige as they well as the raw material and the market for their manufactured good. The European, on their other hand, had the technologically advanced and weapon which helped in their conquest. Till 1875, European possessions in the Africa were limited to be some effort and the trading post along their coastal and few small colonies. But between 80 to 1880 and the 1910, the whole of Africa was divided up among their European. All the important decisions related to Africa and its people were taken on the conference table of London and Paris, Lisbon, and other European capital for the next 50 years. France acquired a Hux empire in northern and west Africa, and Algeria and Tunisia is a Marcos and Azores coastal and Damo is a Malis and other areas of West Africa come under to French rules. Britain ruled to the Gambias and Syria, Leonor, Gold Coastal and Nigeria, North is a South Africa and Rhodesia and Uganda and Kenya, Egypt, Sudan and Eritrea and part of the Somaliland and the Libya. Germany ruled over to Southwest Africa and Tanganyika and Togoland and Cameroon. United Germans was defeated in the World War One. By the time the war started in the 1940, only the two independent countries were left in Africa, Liberia and Ethiopia. But Ethiopia is taken over by Italy in 1935. One interesting feature about the imperialism was the slave trade in Africa. There is an important one interesting feature about the imperialism was the slave trade in Africa. The Europeans started importing slaves from Africa to work on the plantation in their colonies in America. And there was a regular slave market in the Libyan and the capital of Portugal between to the 15th to 18th century. There are 15th to 18th century. There is a most important period of time. Nearly 15 million Africans were captured and sold as slave. There is also important 50 million African captured and sold as slaves. The next point here, imperialism in Asia. There is an important also imperialism in Asia. As Africa saw in Asia, the Europeans started to the is a colonizing here also. The British and French did not be like to the Paris trade carried on the is a Portuguese and Holland. The bomb they ultimately threw out the from India. Soon the England and the France is a companies made a settlement here. In 1763, the British ended to the France influence in India and established their own control. You will be read more about the British rule in India in the next lesson. Countries like Japan, China refused to be accept the Western culture and way of life because of their belief in their traditional way. The Boxer, rebellions and the Opium's war give the power of industrialized country to get involved in a China. Gradually they accepted industrialization and Western influence. Let's read how to it's happened. The next year, China. The China is important on this period of time. Chinese goods were a great demand in a European country, but there was no demand for the European good in a China. This one-sided trade was not a profitable for Europeans merchants, so they started the smuggling opium to the China to the demoralize the Chinese youth and exchange the Chinese goods. And this led to the first opium wars between the China and Britain, in which the China was easily defeated and Britain gained a many consequences for the herself. She is successful in the getting all of 5 ports of China opened for a British trade. The Chinese government could not be imposed any tariff on the foreign goods, and they could be not carry out any trade against the British subject in a Chinese courts. The island of the Hong Kong was handed over to the Britain. The Second Opinion War was a fight where revenge against the insult of British flag and the murder of French missionaries. China was defeated by the two European powers and was forced to be concede extra territory right. The Boxer is a rebellion was the organized terror against the Christians, missionaries, and the exploitation of China after the division of China into the sphere of influence. The next year, Japan. Japan, the Meiji Restoration began in 1868 with an era of the Enlightenment rule, which are transforming Japan from a close of feudal society to the first industrialized nation. And she had a little natural resource of their own and need both overseas as a market and source of raw material. That is important. In 1871, a group of Japanese politicians tourist Europe as a USA Japan frame a state lead industrialization policy. In 1877, the Bank of Japan was founded, and many steel and textile factories were set up on this period of time. Education was the popularized, and Japanese students were sent to study in the West. By the year 1905, under the slogan of "Enrich the country and strengthen the military," Japan rose as a formidable industry and military nation. There is a important. And she was successful in conquering Izumorosa and South Sakhalin and Korea, Manchuria and the Indochina and Burma, Malaysia and the Singapore, Indonesia and the Philippines. There is a Philippines is important here. The next year, imperialism in South and Southeast Asia. There is an important. South and South Asia, there is include Nepal, Burma, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, Indochina, Thailand, Indo-Philippines. There is the most important South and Southeast Asia included here. Even before the rise of the new imperialism, many of these countries were already dominated by the Europeans. The Sri Lanka was occupied by the Portuguese, then to the Dutch and later by the British. And England introduced a tea and rubber plantation, which come to from a 7 to 8 of Sri Lanka as export. Other countries of South Asia also suffering under imperialism. French troops attacked. Vietnam is claiming that there is a protecting the Christians and Indochina. Gradually, Vietnam, Laos, the Cambodias were added to be a French colonial empire. The British added to Burma and export Singapore to gain a control over to the Malaya state. There is a important.